Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. This coming Sunday is the fourth Sunday of Easter, and it is referred to as Good Shepherd Sunday. Every fourth Sunday of Easter, we get Psalm 23 as one of our texts and some other text, usually from John's Gospel, that helps us understand that term Good Shepherd in regard to who Christ is for us. And you may have that image in your mind, that beloved image of Jesus cradling a lamb. It was on a stained glass window at Middle Spring where I used to serve. And it is an image that brings comfort for people, reminds us of God's care for us and love for us. And it's an important image for individual believers. But we cannot leave the image of Christ as shepherd there solely for individual believers, because there is both a communal and a political aspect to that image of Christ as our shepherd. All throughout the Old and New Testaments, that image of God as shepherd and the people as God's sheep is used. There's a passage in Ezekiel 34, in which God is thinking pretty specifically about what it looks like for God to be the shepherd, the true shepherd. And in that passage, God says, "I myself will be the shepherd of my sheep, and I will make them lie down. I will seek the lost, and I will bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured, and I will strengthen the weak. But the fat and the strong I will destroy. I will feed them with justice." It's a pretty powerful image of who God as shepherd is. And in that same passage, God also talks about David as both king and shepherd of the people. God says that David is God's own representative, the one who will shepherd, the human one who will shepherd the people. And as king, David makes laws regarding the welfare of the people, and David operates in the political sphere on behalf of the people. So many scholars point to this mantle of good shepherd taken on by both King David and by Jesus to reflect on the fact that Jesus' gospel message and his earthly ministry were both political in nature. Tom used to say it in a very succinct way I appreciated. He would say, politics is where decisions about people's lives are made, and Jesus cared about people's lives. And we saw that in the time that he was alive, and we take that message from the gospel good news, which is meant for the well-being of everyone, not just in some future by and by, but also here in this realm. There has been a lot written on Christian people being political people. Jim Wallace of Sojourners Magazine and Walter Brueggemann, who taught at Columbia Theological while I was there, at least I got to take one class with him before he retired. Both of them have written extensively on what it means to be people of the gospel who also operate and exist in a political sphere. There's a new book out. I just put it in my Amazon cart, but I listened to a little bit of it on Amazon and I've read some reviews about it. It's a book called Political Gospel: Public Witness in a Politically Crazy World, and it's by an author named Patrick Schreiner, who is a theologian. He's a Baptist theologian, and so might be more conservative than members of Market Square are used to reading. But in the book, he is advocating for Christians to be more political. He says this: Christian politics concerns how we integrate our confession that Jesus is Lord with our call to love our neighbor. But even as he is encouraging us to be political, he reminds us that we are not to be partisan. He says, don't go left, don't go right, go deeper. And I appreciate that because, yes, the gospel is political, but the gospel is not partisan. The gospel and God critique every human institution, government, Republicans, Democrats. When you're not neither of those parties, I cannot think of the word. It'll come to me. The church, our financial institutions, independence, that's the word. The gospel critiques all of us. And so we are called to move beyond knee-jerk reactions of always voting one particular way or simply assuming that the party with which we align ourselves most closely reflects the gospel. I had a gentleman come to my door yesterday. I've had a lot of people come to my door campaigning in advance of the May 16 election, and he asked me if he knew I was registered as a Democrat, and he said he is also a Democrat. And then I said, well, tell me why I should vote for you. And he immediately said, thank you for that question. You can't imagine how many people say to me, oh, you don't have to tell me anymore. You're a Democrat. We're good. I'll vote for you. And he says that his mission, in part, is to educate people about why it's important not to do that, and that especially on a local level, and he was running for Harrisburg City Council, especially on a local level, we have to move beyond partisan politics. And the gospel would tell us the same thing. We need to move beyond partisan politics. The Psalm 146 says, do not put your trust in princes, in mortals in whom there is no help. And so we can't put our trust in particular people. We put our trust in God, but we also remember that it's through people that God in part seeks to mediate God's rule. And so as the political season is ramping up again and always, I encourage you to think about what it means to be both a person of the gospel and a political person, and how that calling and that responsibility for learning about issues and learning how to advocate. And I encourage you to move beyond knee-jerk reactions when you go to the polling place. Thanks for listening today. Bye.